Hi guys, welcome back. This is Matt Shett, episode 554, featuring an interview with one of the guys from Andromeda, one of the two. The great, the legendary, the one and only Mark Crowe will be joining us for this episode. What do you think about that, huh? We're going to be joined by Matt Bradley Shergi, who's riding shotgun on this, to talk with Mark about Space Quest and his latest project, the long-awaited SpaceVenture game. So here's Space Quest for those of you who aren't fortunate enough not to be familiar with it. Trust me, it's one of the greatest adventure, certainly one of the best sci-fi comedy adventure games you'll ever want to play. Epic series. Anyway, if you want to play his latest game, SpaceVenture, that's up on Steam Early Access for $14.99. Anyway, when you got Mark Crowe on, you don't want to spend a lot of time preambling. So without further ado, here is Mark Crowe. Oh, let's do the whole thing with him on mute. No, that wouldn't be good. You got a little mute button there, Mark.
You need to unmute
How's
yourself.
that?
Good, good.
That's like 200% better. Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey, Mark, before we get started here, I got a quick question about
Sure.
I thought you might be. So, you know those glasses you have all the time, those like mono things, you know what I'm talking about, right? The mono glasses.
Oh, the two guys.
yeah, the
glasses?
two guys. Yeah.
Punk glasses.
Yeah, so I want a pair of those, but I don't know if I can get them in a prescription model.
Oh,
Is that even a thing?
I wouldn't know.
Is it technically possible? I mean, I
mean, just purchased those at a novelty shop way back when, and I couldn't tell you. I'm sure somebody does. Sells them.
It'd have to be like, you'd have to have it's probably special lenses made for them, right?
Yeah, I would guess.
You'll adjust right. But hey, how you doing?
That's a cool idea, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get some just for fun. I found a shop that has the ones that aren't prescription models, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they're still making those.
So how's it going?
Staying busy.
Still space venturing?
Well, no. Well, we're wrapping that up. We're trying to get all the achievements in place for that, for the Steam achievements, and tackling a few little remaining bugs that people are finding, and nothing major.
Always hard to root all those out. Found one in my system today. Just got him out. Oh man,
that was a hairy one.
Like him? Yeah, my wife
Little
made,
mousy.
yeah, a little crochet thing. I got Matt Bradley Shergi on shotgun today, Mark. Is that all right with you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, Bradley.
Hey,
Or
good to
Matt,
see you.
sorry.
Yep. Are you still based out of Oregon or?
Yeah, I'm in Eugene.
Okay, I'm up in Portland, so.
Oh, all right. Not too far down the road?
Nope.
Up the road?
Yep.
The whole Andromeda thing is just a facade then, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure people ask you that all the time. I found somebody that said that you guys got that idea from a restaurant. Two guys from Italy.
Yeah, there was a New York-based restaurant back in the day. I don't know if it's still there or if it's a chain or what, but I remember reading something about it called Two Guys from Italy. And I thought, oh, that's a funny sounding title for, well, we just have them come from someplace in outer space. So
I think it's worked pretty well for you.
that was that.
It's a great moniker. Don't you think so, man? I mean, it really stands out.
It is. It really.
That's who you are.
It stands out. It's a way that, I mean, Sierra even back then was really good about pushing the developers forward, and it was kind of a funny way to do it and let people know Space Quest was humorous, which, you know, isn't necessarily obvious from the name.
Right. Well, that was kind of our where that came about was, and you probably heard the story before, I've talked about it before, but we were like coming to the end of development on Space Quest, and the marketing department talked to us. Johnny Williams was the marketing department, came to us and said, well, what do you guys want to do with your, how do you want to credit yourselves on the box? Because he was doing the box layout, and it hadn't even occurred to us to put our names on the box. And we were kind of uncomfortable with the idea, actually, because we didn't know how the game was going to be received.
Oh,
But after thinking about it a while, we thought, it'd be kind of funny just to create these two alter ego characters in keeping with the spirit of the game. And would be just these two alien characters. And we thought, well, what would we look like? We had no idea. We didn't have any costumes or anything. And so I raced down to Fresno, which was about an hour down the road, and went to a novelty shop. This had to have been around close to Halloween, because it was a Halloween shop. They had a Halloween section, and I grabbed these red mohawks, bald head mohawk things, and those punk glasses, and some Spock ears, and I think there was some pig noses involved. I can't remember if that was actually in the picture or not. And I said, okay, we can do something with this. Well, this will be our costume.
got the picture there.
And we'll act like we're on vacation. We'll wear our Hawaiian shirts and our shorts, and we'll run up to Yosemite, which was an hour up the road. And there it is. And we grabbed a coworker who went up there and snapped that picture of us out in front of Half Dome.
When I picture game developers, especially back then, this is exactly what I pictured. It's actually kind of shocking that you're not looking like this in real life. I mean,
hey, sorry to disappoint. I do have. I thought you might be interested in seeing this. This was this wasn't from that photo. This later on was the foam latex rubber noses I had made for that one promotional video that we did for, I think, Space Quest 2.
yeah, I was watching that little promo video thing with you guys. So you was working on Black Cauldron, which I did not connect the dots on that until I was reading up about you a little bit. So that's a pretty cool game too.
Yeah, that was like the first real. Well, no, I take it back. I worked on King's Quest 2. That was the first time I had done any computer graphics of any kind. That was animation. That's how I got introduced into the animation department there. And then Black Cauldron came along and had a team of artists that I was responsible for, and we're cranking out the backgrounds for the art and animation. And that's where Scott and I kind of got thrown together in an office, and we're working together and started hatching a plan to do our own game.
So with Black Cauldron, was Disney difficult to work with as a licensee as far as approving designs and things, or did they not? Were they sort of more hands-off?
I wouldn't say they were difficult, but they were very hands-on in that of course, everything has to go through them for approval. That's perfectly understandable. We would do our best to, draw things, and this goes along with the other Disney educational games that I worked on for them as well. But all the art that we did for the backgrounds and everything, we shipped off to them. Again, no internet. This was snail mail. And then they would send them back to us with notes or corrections, because they would have one of their artists go through and kind of trace over them or redraw them to their specs. And from there, we would use a digitizing tablet to trace them into the computer. That's actually pre-mouse, pre-Windows. So we had these clunky graphics tablets with a puck with a little crosshair on it, and you actually had to line draw, plot to trace those images into the computer and color them.
That's pretty much the same setup then that Roberta had working on the Mystery House, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow. Well, worked pretty well.
Got the job done.
So you weren't ever a janitor then?
Uh, no.
No, was there a janitor at Sierra? I mean, they must have had a janitor. Was it?
Oh, I'm sure we did. I don't recall them at the moment.
Well, why don't we? Where do we want to start with this? Well, here's a quick question. I guess this might get us somewhere. So, what's your favorite of the Space Quest games?
Oh man, I've been asked that
I
a
don't know.
lot.
Number 3 comes up a lot, and was it the next mutation? I forget which is that number 5.
Right.
Well, that one comes up. Those are probably the top 2 on most people's lists, I would think.
Sure.
What do you think, Matt? Does that sound right?
Well, I used to think it was 4
4? Okay.
because as an artist, that was kind of like where I got really excited about the potential of the VGA graphics and everything. But it was also the most stressful development for that very same reason, because it required a much larger team. I no longer was the art guy. I had to have a team of artists helping me to create all that content. And so managing that was added to the stress of game development for sure.
That was the Roger Wilco and the Time Rippers, right?
Right.
And that had a CD-ROM version with voices and a lot of new tech in
Yeah,
that one.
yeah. Later we did the voice stuff, and that's when I got to work with. That was definitely a highlight, working with Gary Owens.
Yeah, Space Ghost.
Absolutely, and
Which
a myriad other Saturday morning voices
Yeah, that
from my
iconic.
childhood.
Was this the first one that had the this kind of interface on it with the buttons?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a
Boy,
pretty,
Well, I think maybe King's Quest V might have been before.
I mean the first Space Quest game.
Oh,
that
for
was-
Space Quest.
I want to. I could be wrong. I want to say 3, but I might be misremembering that.
3, you can type stuff in. You can
Okay,
use
and 3.
you can
It
can
was
use the
4.
mouse to move around a little bit if you want, but it's not
Okay,
with the.
so 4 was a first for a lot of different things. For
Well,
sure.
there's a couple different versions of Space Quest 3, right? Is that true?
Maybe a fan remake or something, but
Could be.
So this one's just got the parser, right?
mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
sure
yeah.
does.
Okay.
I was mistaken there. So yeah, that's I remember Ken came to us and when we were starting to work on Space Quest 4 and asked us if we kind of gave us the option. Do you guys want to go with the parser, or do you want to go with the new interface? And I think initially we kind of resisted the idea of doing the graphical interface. We thought we better stick with the parser. That's just what we were used to with. And we thought people would enjoy that more. I mean, the parser added an additional layer of gameplay that you didn't get from the parser. I think people enjoyed typing in and seeing what worked and what didn't work. It was fun.
Especially things you
But-
probably wouldn't want your parents to see you typing in, you know.
Wonder what happens when I type this. Yeah, that was a large
There's
part of the fun.
responses to all that stuff too. That's what made it so fun.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I like that in Space Quest 4, I forget if it was in the other ones, but you had the smell icon. So at least you could have sort of some silly
Yeah.
descriptions.
Well, again, backing up, Ken, I mentioned Ken gave us the option, but later came back a week later after we decided to go with the parser and said, no, you're going to go with the graphical interface. So we were kind of, we did grudgingly. And as part of that resistance, I guess you could say, we introduced those other buttons, which didn't really do anything, but they were kind of our way of kind of poking fun at the interface, the smell interface and the taste interface. And
Oh, I didn't know. I hadn't heard that part of the story before. That's fun. So, what did Ken say about it?
I don't recall him ever complaining. I think he loved it. He seemed to really enjoy the humor, the Space Quest humor.
Now, you like For the Best. But five,
So yeah, back to
the
your
fifth
question.
one was
I think I've switched over the years. I think I do really appreciate the the quality of the graphics and everything, and just the game overall. The Space Quest 3, I've kind of grown really fond of that. I kind of look to that as my new favorite.
yeah, I was watching some videos of some different. There's a lot of Space Quest retrospectives. I mean, it's a big cult classic game for sure. But the question comes up a lot as to which, if somebody's brand new to the franchise, do they want to start with the first game or maybe the third game? So that comes up a lot. And I notice a lot of people say start with the third game, but I don't know because it seemed like you'd want to play the first one just to have a sense of where it all.
Right, some context.
Yeah,
Not that there was a whole lot between games. I mean, we tried to make them that you didn't really have to know about the previous game to play it, but
true. Though it's a lot of fun when you're playing one to see the little callbacks to the earlier games, like the
Space Quest 4, you definitely had to know some
that whistle business. And,
some of the backstory stories.
And like the mini games are such a big part of Space Quest, I think, from the beginning. Was that done to sort of mix up the gameplay a bit, or is it more as of like the science fiction setting, you wanted to have sort of some more action in there?
Yeah, well, like the very first one we introduced was in
Mhm.
Space Quest 1, the what was it, the hover pod
Right.
thing?
You
That
went
was just
splats.
like, how do we get him from point A to point B? And we thought, well, why can't we make this a little arcade sequence? And that was something that hadn't been done with the game engine, and so that was kind of innovative, I guess, at the time. Um, the engineers certainly loved it. They thought, wow, we didn't even know our system could do that. And so we used that technique in a lot of different parts of the game, that kind of a scrolling or pseudo scrolling kind of a thing. It love it or hate it.
it's kind of what the series was known for, right? I mean, we got, of course, the humor, but the fun
Yeah.
mini games, you never knew what to expect. And I mean, who doesn't remember was it Astro Chicken? Didn't that
Yes.
even become like a spin-off game or like a standalone release?
Yeah, well, again, that's a good example of where the other people on the team, um, if anybody had a good idea, we would use it. And Doug Oldfield was learning how to program in the I think that was that SCI? I can't remember. Whatever the language was we were using, the engine was we were using at the time. And to teach himself, he put together this little. It was hilarious. This chicken shooting game, and he was just starting to work on Space Quest with us, and we thought, this is so hilarious. We've got to get this. We got to work this into the game somehow. And so that, of course, became we dubbed it Astro Chicken, and that's what became the arcade game sequence in Monolith Burger. Excuse me.
I love the Astro Chicken. Trying to get a picture of it here. Macaque.
But yeah, I mean,
Everything but Astro Chicken. Oh, there's
the
a little-
Astro Chicken character was something I've carried around in my back pocket for years and thought, at some point I'm going to figure out a way to make a game for this character. And that was really what,
Scumsoft.
when we started the Kickstarter way back when to do this, that was one of the ideas that was rolling around in our heads was, how do we maybe we can make the game based on Astro Chicken, or Cluck Yeager, as he became known as he evolved into.
Fuck Yeager. What a great name. I hope everybody gets the reference to that.
Probably not.
Not. My stepdad had
Which
the
is too bad.
Yeah, my stepdad had the Chuck Yeager Flight Sim, whichever one that was. I don't think that was a Sierra
Oh, yeah.
product, but there's flight sims where, oh, there you go. Yeah, there's the Cluck Yeager thing.
Well, that was one of the big flight sims back then, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Chuck Yeager, yeah, was a big one, and
Wasn't he like the first guy to fly supersonic or something?
something like that.
One
He
of them. I'm
broke
not
the
sure if he
sound
was the first
barrier.
or
Yeah. And I mean, over the years, Sierra kind of changed what their adventure games looks like. Do you know if there was any talk of them trying to do a Space Quest with full motion video?
not to my knowledge.
Okay, because you had like it was a very brief window. You did like one of the Gabriel Knights and Phantasmagoria did the video clips, but
Right.
I always thought with Space Quest that might have been, or maybe it might have been more fun for Leisure Suit Larry. I don't know, but I think Space Quest with you can do something with with the alien prosthetics.
Oh yeah, that would have been
Who would
hilarious.
you have wanted to play Rock?
Well, that
Mm,
was well, I tell you, the thought certainly crossed my head. I'm sure when was it Wing Commander when they did that with
right,
Wing
yeah, with Mark
Commander?
Hamill and yeah,
Right, yeah. It's like, wow, that definitely made a light bulb come on. But of course, I would guess I had been at Dynamics at that point in time.
But did any actors come to mind that you
Yeah.
think if you could do a dream cast, if money was no object, who would you?
Get to be Roger
Yeah,
Wilco.
get to be Roger. Yeah.
Oh man,
What about the Red Dwarf guy, the Rimmer?
I did have a guy in mind. I can't think of his name. He's an actor, and he was in a popular TV show at the time, but um, he kind of fit my image of Roger Wilco. Kind of a good-looking guy, but still kind of a screw up.
Maybe the Army of Darkness guy. What's this? Bruce. You know what I'm talking about?
Bruce Campbell
Yeah, Bruce Campbell.
He could have pulled it
Yeah.
off for sure.
could be good. Hmm.
No, I can't think of the actor's name. I can actually see his face now that I'm
What's the
thinking
name
of
of
it.
it? You remember the show?
No,
Oh.
What's the show? Was it fantasy?
it was some. No, it was nothing to do with sci-fi. I was like, okay, this guy it would definitely be cast against type based on what kind of characters he's played in the past. But yeah,
80s.
Right.
We'll think of it before the end. I bet.
Oh.
We're gonna have like
see.
hundreds of comments.
now you'll be disappointed.
Yes,
No, it's like, oh no, no way.
It's funny.
And in fact, when I drew Roger Wilco for the opening scene of Space Quest 3, I think it was, when he's in the sleep chamber and he wakes up,
Yeah.
there's that close up of his face and he opens his eyes. That I remember that actor was who I was patterning that after.
Hmm. Okay, so there's a clue
Oh,
there.
Yeah,
So now
let's take another look. Because here.
that's for everybody to try to figure out then.
Hmm. Okay.
Ah,
Ted Danson. No, I have no idea.
not sure.
But right now, I mean, getting with the graphics, getting better in Space Quest 3, getting to be able to do those close-ups, and then you really were able to do that with like the comic book panels in 5. A lot to give those characters, and then 4 was a CD and 6 was a CD. Was 5 ever going to be on CD with voices, or?
I don't think so. I don't think the sales were there initially to warrant it. Or at least that's what I'm told.
But we're still talking about 3 if we moved on to.
I was
Oh
talking
man,
about-
that's the problem.
Uh,
I think we would.
With 6 Space Quests, it's hard to keep track.
Which one has the love interest, Beatrice? I guess she's in a couple, right? Is that
Yeah,
the,
well, we hinted to her existence in Space Quest 4. But when we did Space Quest 4, we figured, okay, this is this is true of all of the Space Quests. Every time we finished one, we thought, okay, there'll never be another one. This is the end. We don't have to worry about this. So when we were coming up with the premise for Space Quest 4, Roger jumps to the future to Space Quest 13 or something like that. We thought, oh, that'll never happen. So we don't have to worry about him meeting his love interest and how we continue that story. So that's the first time we see Beatrice Wankmeister, as Scott dubbed her.
Wankmeister.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So yeah, when we did
Al Lowe didn't have anything to do with it.
so we worked that character. We come up with a way to work that character into Space Quest 5. We started working on that. Figured, okay, we have to somehow introduce this character in the next game, even though she's not supposed to become Roger's wife until Space Quest 13.
Oh, I guess it's actually Beatrice Creekworm. Wankmeister. Wow. Yeah, there's. You ever look at the Space Quest wiki?
No.
Must be pretty cool. It's like they love your game so much. There's like a whole wiki dedicated. It's like an encyclopedia of Space Quest.
Well, there's a few really good Space Quest fan websites out there that pretty much cover it pretty well.
You ever watch the people doing Let's Plays and retrospectives? And that's got to
Oh
be.
yeah. Yeah, those are fun to watch.
They get
Especially
stuck-
Space Quest historian. Trolls is a riot.
Oh yeah, I've had him on the show before.
Yeah, I noticed you had done an interview with him some time back.
You've probably
You've been doing this a while. I didn't realize you had been doing this for as long as you have been.
This back in the dial-up days. You know?
Wow.
Yeah, that was. No, I wish. Yeah, what was that? What was that Sierra online service they had, Matt? Remember that? The Imagination.
Oh yeah,
Imagination, right? And then the
I wish I could
magazine
make
was
that be a cool
Interaction.
claim. Like, yeah, I've been doing this since it was on the Imagination.
Yeah. I mean, I actually we talked about this in the show a while back, but I got to work a little bit with Ken on his remake of Colossal Cave 3D. I got to be in the closed beta for that. And I think it was such a trip they got to remake, like, the first adventure game. And it was more work than they were expecting, I think. But
It always is.
yes, it always is. And I think especially you go on a yacht for several years and do a lot of traveling and go back into it. It'll just be it's never one little game.
Yeah. Great way to spend the COVID downtime, but I think it lingered on longer than they were anticipating for sure. I know that feeling.
I don't think I've seen there's probably you probably answered it before. I just haven't come across it yet though. Like what was some of the games you were playing before you got into it, into the business?
Well, I'll tell you, hate to admit it, but I certainly wouldn't consider myself a gamer. I might have dropped some coins in an arcade from time to time, but that was about it.
But you've always been into art.
Oh yeah. 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 I think one of my favorite arcade games really was the Space Ace. I think that really influenced
Sure.
me to want to do
Oh, that's the
some
Don Bluth.
sci-fi.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it that Don Bluth that did the artwork?
Yeah,
on?
he did.
Yeah, that was like a laser disc thing, right?
Right. Yeah. And I remember when I first started working at Sierra, they were kind of tucked away in this little strip mall kind of building off by itself. And right across across the parking lot was this video arcade that I think opened up just because Sierra was there. Sierra was their primary business, and I spent a lot of time over there playing Space Ace.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if you could have had a Space Quest arcade game along the same lines. You probably would have liked to work on that, huh?
Oh yeah, that would have been fun.
When did that was, golly, when was this?
It's pretty early.
It was.
I remember seeing these in like arcades and it was like something from the future.
The gameplay was terrible. I mean, but it just, I don't know, it looked like really promising technology.
Wow, 1983.
It was ahead of its time.
1983 on that. Does that sound right?
That sounds
Sounds
right.
about right.
And then like, it also was more expensive than other arcade games. I remember when it was like maybe $1 a pop at some places.
yeah.
So, but it did attract people with like you said, the animated graphics. And Don Bluth used to be a Disney guy before doing his own stuff. So it really,
Yeah, you could have had like Phantasmagoria, the laser disc.
I suppose.
Arcade version. I just don't know. Yeah, I've heard that those machines are quite rare because they wore out pretty quick.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
I don't know for sure about that. I
And
don't
there's
have. You should get one, Mark.
Yeah. I don't need that taking up space.
taking up space, eating up electricity. I wonder how much power those
Yeah.
things consume. Being woken up at 2 a.m. with the looping demo. Space Ace. Yeah, music going on.
Who did the voice for Space Ace? Wasn't our friend from wasn't Space Ghost?
No, that's a good question. I don't know who the actor was, but it was
Jim Piper, apparently. No, that's for a cartoon. Oh well, never mind.
but I mean, speaking of that, I was we were both playing some of Space Venture, excuse me. And hearing Maurice LaMarche as Ace Hardway, I mean, he's really been in the business a long time, and he's a character that's, he's kind of grizzled, but he's also like somewhat optimistic. He's not like totally over it, and that has to be difficult to. What is it like to kind of create the main character that the player plays, and that they have to have a personality at the same time the player is kind of mapping themselves onto the character, thinking, "No, what would I do to, open this door or find this item?"
Right. Well, that's just it. I mean, that guy amazed crap out of me because the first day in the studio, and I got a little interesting story to follow up, but we gave him, there was like 3,000 lines. And I think he was a little taken aback by the volume of stuff that we were expecting. And with very little direction, he just rifled through that stuff. It took us 2 days to get through it all. But he was dead on, and he would read something, and he knew what we wanted instinctively. He goes, "Oh, that's not good. Let's find the funny here." And he would read it a couple of different ways, and we'd say, "Go with number 3," and he would move on. And he was just amazing, real professional. I mean, he obviously been doing this a while. So
He definitely nailed it. I played it a lot over the past couple of days, and I think his narration just, you could see the lines, and then you hear him say it, and it's funnier.
yep.
He just knows just exactly how to make those lines.
But I don't know, you might find it interesting. But when we were writing the lines, Scott and I, we started toying around with the idea that, hey, wouldn't it be great? You started having these delusions of grandeur. Let's get Norm Macdonald.
Oh wow!
Let's find out if we could get Norm Macdonald to do the voice.
Huh.
And I had Josh had been writing some stuff for us, some gags for the holotube sequences in the game, commercials and things. And I said, Josh, can you rewrite some of this script and do it in Norm Macdonald's style? And he goes, oh yeah, I love Norm Macdonald. And so he did. He wrote just about all of it. He rewrote it in Norm Macdonald's voice, if you will. And of course, that didn't happen. We talked to Norm Macdonald's agent, and it wasn't going to work out. It's just a little too out of our price range.
Oh.
And so when we went into the studio with, we were rushing to get this thing done, recorded. We went into the studio with LaMarche. We asked him, well, we wrote this in kind of Norm Macdonald's voice. Oh, I can do Norm Macdonald. And so he started trying to read it like Norm Macdonald. And I'm going, this isn't going to work. I go, just do your voice. And because I loved his voice. I said, just do it how you would do it in yourself. And he started rifling through the things. Like, that's it. That's perfect. Go with that. And so even though it's Maurice, it's in Norm. We wrote it from Norm Macdonald, but he did it perfectly.
That's really interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that. And I remember in a Ken Williams memoir that came out not that long ago, I think he mentioned Robin Williams was maybe considered for a Space Quest game. Is that true? Or
I think they did approach him at some point
hmm.
to see. I don't know if that was they approached him or he approached Sierra or what. I don't recall exactly what transpired there.
It would have been interesting because I think
Yeah,
it was a real life game or big time game. Didn't he even like write reviews and stuff.
He had games all the time on the set. There's some pictures that have come out since he passed, unfortunately, of him like on a little tiny stool meant for a 5-year-old, like leaning into the TV playing the old, Sega Master System. Or I mean, he would play the Call of Duty stuff on set all the time. They'd have to drag him out of his trailer. But they say, when he was playing the multiplayer Call of Duty stuff, he'd speak in all these crazy voices, and people didn't know they were playing against Robin Williams. So
funny.
I can only imagine. Let's see. So with the SpaceVenture, is there a relief that it's on Steam now in early access? I know you said it's almost finished, but it's been quite the development process for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to see it on Steam. I thought I was hallucinating at first.
I love this. This is such a great part of the game here. This business with. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for people, but wow, that was funny, fun and funny.
Oh, thanks.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Matt. Were you?
I guess that was more of I guess sort of the question and all that was, did you find the process of submitting your game to Steam so that tricky after doing it kind of the Kickstarter stuff where it's directly to the fans?
No, that whole
was
went
pretty
surprisingly smoothly. I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I thought we were going to have a lot of stumbling blocks getting it on Steam, but it went real smooth.
And there's a lot of feedback. There's a lot of discussion boards where people on there are talking about bugs and whatever. I think I even posted a few things on there. But what's some feedback that's kind of surprised you?
Well, pleasantly surprised with the majority of the reviews are pretty favorable, and so that was a pleasant surprise. As far as
oh wow, this was positive just earlier today. It just bumped up to very positive.
That's encouraging.
Yes, very nice.
What the next level is beyond, like extremely positive.
Very, very positive.
Yeah, most of these reviews, I've read a few. I haven't read them all, but it seems like most people are having a good time and they think it's a good. It's definitely in this. It scratches the itch, the Space Quest itch.
Right. Well, I mean, the hope is that it also attracts some new people to adventure gaming. Sure. I mean, that was always my fear, I guess, when we were launched into this, is how do we make a game that could appeal to a larger or newer, younger audience. We knew it was going to appeal to the older gamers like ourselves who have a nostalgia for that era, that style of game. But today's players, they don't have the attention span for these types of puzzle games.
I noticed you have like a hint guide on there that's like a PDF. Were you ever considering doing like an in-game hint system, or you sort of figured, well, if people want the answers, I might as well do them myself instead of having someone, write it up on GameFAQs?
Yes and no. I mean, we felt like we needed to have some kind of tutorial or people that have never played adventure games before, some way to get them short of, an actual in-game tutorial where we kind of hold your hand and teach you how to do things as you're playing the game. That would have taken a lot more time and effort to do that. So that was just kind of like a Band-Aid. It's like, okay, well, let's do a written tutorial and plug that in there. I mean, ideally, if you're doing your job right as a designer, you're for these kind of games, you're providing enough breadcrumbs and hints for people to figure it out. I mean, that's what's fun about these games, in my opinion, is problem solving and looking for clues and talking to the different characters and so hopefully we've done a decent job of doing that with the text, the VO that you get, what the character's saying. You know, you're providing enough to give you a hint on what you got to do to overcome each of the puzzles.
And I think he will give a
I guess time will tell.
if he gets stuck on a puzzle long enough, doesn't he like give you a little nudge in the right direction? I mean, that happened to me a couple of times.
Yeah.
You put the socket in the router. I mean, it's not that. It got me a couple of times with that one. I was like, I thought I was so smart. I found like the little socket, you know, and put him in the router. And he's like, oh, this isn't the right one. I guess there's like 7 different sockets.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be really funny that you had to keep going back to the closet to get the right socket because we tucked enough of them in there. And
yeah, that's hilarious because I mean it's like it's always my life, you know, when I'm trying to socket something. It's like I get the wrong one like 30 times. I'm like, why don't you just bring the whole case? Okay, well I knew it was this one. But the other kind of gets me. Yeah, we were talking. Matt and I were talking a little bit earlier about the interface of this game and how it uses a lot of physics, like the sliding, like you slide those crates over to get through into the supply chain or supply chain, the supply room. So how did that little part come about?
no, well, you know, originally we were envisioning this. Well, still to be seen. We're going to do an iPad version or touch screen version basically. And but well, how do we make that more interesting? How you actually interact with objects in the scene to manipulate them or whatever, not just have it be a click. Good or bad, people love it or hate it. Being able to turn things and didn't get to utilize that as much as I would have liked. The game's kind of front loaded with those kind of puzzles, and then you find less and less of them as you get through the game. But yeah, I don't know. Some people like it and have voiced their opinions both ways. So
I thought
what's your opinion?
It kind of makes it more immersive to me. And like you're sliding a crate, it's more fun to like get to control where it goes.
Right.
And then it's got the little indicators that shows you like you can't move it there.
Right.
Really intuitive.
Yeah, the crates, that was like the very first puzzle we put into the game. Well, that and the airlock door, but so we really wrestled with, okay, how do we explain to the player what they can't push the crate that way, but they can push it this way, and they can push it in this order. And well, I mean, it's a puzzle. We put numbers. I don't want to give anything away.
I get it. You know, I didn't get it at first, but when I got to the janitor's, like the janitor's push cart thing, and you like look inside it, and there's all these rolls of toilet paper. I think I don't remember what was all in there, but I'm like I was kind of tinkering around with that, and as soon as I saw I could slide one, I'm like, oh, I've seen this puzzle before, and it finally clicked. You know. I mean, so people hate that? I don't know. Why would you hate it?
Oh, we've just had people say, oh, why can't I just click on this? Why do I have to slide it around? It's like, well, how lazy do you have to be?
I've got to push my finger. I got to move the mouse all the way over. Oh,
that's probably the most exercise you got all day.
Yeah, they're kind of like the guy in that room, you know, when you get in there with all the magazines and the comics and stuff. I guess those are real comics. I didn't know that.
Yeah, those are real Space Quest magazines. They were, manuals and things that came in prior Space Quest games.
And you even had a few editions of, I think Peter Spear was the writer of the Space Quest Companion, where it was like, it had part of the walkthrough was done like a little novel, sort of.
In the game itself?
No, sorry. This was piece of tie-in product. I think that, I don't know if it was authorized or not. I'm trying to remember that part, but they did a few of those with some of the Sierra games where it had the normal kind of checklist walkthrough, but then it had kind of more of a book approach.
What are
Are you referring to the objectives to-do list on the on Roger's PDA screen that pops up?
No, I'm referring
Interface?
to, Matt, can you pull this up? Just look up Space Quest Companion book.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
It's
I
out
got
of print.
write up about it. It's like you had to have that
You
little
mean
lens.
this one?
Yes, yes.
You had to have like a filter thing to see
Yeah,
the
no, that's exactly it.
Boy,
You're holding
sorry,
it.
that's terrible.
Okay, but yeah, no, that's what I meant. Sorry, not in game, but yeah, that. I thought that was always sort of a clever way to do it.
Wow, so even you needed the Space Quest companion to get through the game. Now, wouldn't have expected that, Mark.
Uh,
That you would
Now,
have needed that.
we did create, maybe this is what you're referring to. We did create a book, a hint book, online hint book, where you can actually draw or reveal the answers in different in a
I think
layers.
that's it. Right, sure.
Okay,
Yeah, like the
sure,
old
yeah.
overlays where you could see progressively more specific hints.
Right.
So they weren't
Yeah, we
spoiled.
provide links to that. And
Yep. Those are always good. And you
we
have
just don't charge you for it
no
like
right.
we did back in the day.
Yeah, everybody always says that those publishers made more money, or Sierra made more money with the hint books than the games because everybody was pirating the game.
Right.
They had to buy the hint book. I've heard that wasn't true.
I don't have the sales figures on that, so I can't confirm or deny.
I heard at least for
But,
the old ones, Al Lowe would write the hint books and he got a 50% cut of the profits, which was not insubstantial. But there you go. Yep.
I think I finally found it, Matt.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. That must have been what I was thinking of. There you go. Yep. That's really faded. Wow. With them being old. But yeah, that's an interactive element of it is fun. And
Till
I mean,
your
yeah,
pin went dry.
pen went dry. Sure.
You had to order a new pin.
This is how little has changed. I mean, look at this. The game is too fast. The game is too slow.
Sure.
The hint books were what? I don't know how much they charge for those, but the pin was like 3 times as much to get a new pin.
Oh, that's how they get you.
Give away the razor, sell the razor blades. Yeah. That's funny. So with the SpaceVenture, you're designing these puzzles, and then you get, you design the puzzle. It makes sense, or you and Scott, and then as part of the process, did beta testers help kind of change what some of the puzzles were as a result, or kind of redesign things to make it a little bit more obvious as to what players had to do in some sections?
No, not really. I mean, good or bad, we just kind of forged ahead, especially as we got behind and things drug on. It's like, okay, let's just get this done. Found ourselves being able to, or not being able to, have backer input and that sort of thing, just because that would have prolonged development even more. But and of course they couldn't play the game, so they couldn't provide any feedback as we were in that early on in development.
I guess turned out to be a bigger challenge than you thought initially when you're.
Oh yeah.
It was like I heard something about like the engine might have been better to go with something else. I mean, I heard a couple of different theories floating around, but
Yeah, there's
it probably was more
myriad stumbling blocks that got in our way and slowed us down for sure. Early on, we were talking with a development group that wanted to help us to do it in HTML5. We thought that sounds like a great idea. Till we started working with it and realized, this not so much. And so that's when we had to pivot and start looking at Unity.
Is there anything you would have done different?
Oh,
It was a decade. I mean, you got
Yeah.
something that you'd have been like, oh my God, if only we had.
well, what really bit us was that we bought Unity licenses and we were on like Unity 4 or something like that. and Unity left us behind for sure. And we didn't have support. And it got to be where it's like, well, do we bite the bullet and upgrade to the latest Unity? And then we actually tried that. We tried to port the game over to it, and it was just ugly. It's like, okay, this is going to prolong development. Who knows how long? We're basically going to have to start over to a large degree as far as coding. And actually, we ended up having to do that eventually. We had to bite the bullet, and that when we made the jump to the latest version of Unity. But we had to do that in order to be able to do ports. So we had to get on the new engine, or we weren't going to be able to port it over to the other platforms we want to be on.
I was thinking about that with
So
the scene
that
with
drug on.
I was wondering if some of that frustration was channeled through the character Milo, because he's got a scene where to me, it's hilarious. And he's like talking about the ultimate game. And he's like, he's going to have God particles and this, but it's like, it just sounds like the type of person that doesn't really get it, but like they get super excited about all. But that's how I feel about Unity when they roll out these new things,
Yeah.
Like now we can do these, some kind of fancy particle, blah, blah, blah. But I'm always like, well, how's that going to make a game more fun? Well, it looks cool. Look how cool it looks.
I'll take a good share of the blame there. I mean, I definitely wanted to try to make it current, visually, and use some of the bells and whistles that Unity provided. But of course that bit us too in a lot of ways.
It looks good. I mean, it's probably easier doing some of those mini games and like the crane and everything with Unity than it would have been like when you guys were making mini games on like those older Sierra engines. That probably took a lot of finagling.
Yeah, well, simpler times for sure. But yeah, try to utilize what Unity does well. I mean, their physics engine was great, so we thought, how could we take advantage of that and make a fun little arcade sequence out of it?
I see you can get a lot of compliments on those the segments. Even like the things you wouldn't assume would be so much fun, like what was it when you had to get like microscopic and find the to fix the router.
Yeah, direct these little nano fleas to
the little nano fleas
to perform microsurgery on router's brain chip.
Yeah, fun stuff. Hopefully, we're like piquing people's curiosity here.
I hope so.
And we should talk about Rooter because I think he's like the best thing.
Oh, I'm glad you think so, because he was one of my favorite things too. It's like, oh, we got to give Roger a dog. Excuse me, Roger. Oops, Freudian slip. We have to give Ace a dog, and that was one of the first characters we designed. It's like this could be a lot of fun, having this little companion and trying to figure out how to make him useful. That was a challenge. So he's Ace's walking toolbox, and comes in handy in a few instances. You download apps and get him to do things for you that go places that Ace can't access.
Those apps are hilarious too. But yeah, there he is on the lower left here.
Right, and it's a lot of character to his animation, and I like that it makes you feel, makes Ace feel a bit less lonely, I guess, as he's walking around. Because sometimes in these games with the space setting, it's just kind of the hollow footsteps as you're going through the hallway. So it's something he can bounce off of.
Yeah, the guys razzed me because I liked the concept of the narrator voice originating from Rooter. It's like Rooter's walking around and this voice is just coming out of him. He's got a narrator chip installed. And I don't know, I got a little pushback on that. It's like, oh, that doesn't make sense. How could the voice be coming from Rooter? It's like, why does it have to make sense?
That's your design.
A narrator voice doesn't make sense.
Why does it have to make? I mean, it's such a cool thing because it turns into a toolbox. You pick them up and like put in places where you can't go. I mean, that already opens up a lot of possibilities. And then you can swap out his heads. He's got like this snake sort of head, like a plumbing. What do you call those things anyway?
Yeah, plumber snake.
Like the plumber snake head. I haven't ever seen
Right.
that. And then you can swap. You know, it's really fun. I just really love.
I know way too much about that stuff than I probably should admit.
But it makes sense. Like you could see it. It's not absurd to think that there would be a device like this, and this would be something a real plumber would have.
Right. Yeah, just the whole concept of I don't know if you've heard the story, but when we did our Kickstarter, we really didn't know what the game was going to be about. The hope was that we were going to be able to secure the Space Quest license, and that was our pursuit. And we knew Activision had it, and we talked to Activision. We met with somebody there and negotiated with them a little bit, and decided that I can't remember how we came to the decision, but we just backed away from that and said, okay, we'll just do our own thing. We'll do a spiritual successor to Space Quest, and that's where the idea of the plumber came from. Well, he can't be a janitor, but he could be some other kind of blue collar space guy just doing his job. And a plumber seemed to make a lot of sense because there's, spaceships have plumbing and life support systems, and that could be this guy's ballywick. And so we made him, he's kind of, in his mind anyway, he's an expert on all things. And that was part of the humor, is he thinks he knows everything, but he obviously doesn't. He knows everything about plumbing.
Space plumbing.
And so to a plumber, everything's a pipe, and he hammers on it with his pipe wrench. Because that's how you fix it.
Yeah, so what he calls it, Big Red.
Big Red.
Yeah, that's funny. I was thinking I had some other question about Rooter, but I can't. Oh, he's got his own little separate menu, I think we were talking about.
Yeah, well, earlier on, we had grander visions of being able for the player to be able to swap back and forth between the characters. He could be Rooter if he wanted, and wanted to have a lot more Rooter-based puzzles. But as things went on and drug on, and we had to cut back on things, that kind of fell to the back burner, and so we had to start limiting where the player could become Rooter. I think when we released our initial backer release to the backers, you could do that at will in the game, but it didn't make sense to do it in half the places, and that just created a lot of confusion. And so it was okay. Well, we can't have the player doing that everywhere in the game. So then we just had to change it so that when Rooter has a specific use, that's when we prompt the player that they can swap between the characters. And so, in fact, I think we force you to become Rooter at that point in time, and Rooter's got a specific task then, or a mission. So, yeah, that we would have liked to have done more with, to take advantage of that mechanic a little bit more. Maybe in the next one.
Yeah, maybe in the next. You got me a couple times.
Rooter's Quest.
There was a part where he has to like activate a Rooter. You become Rooter. He has to push this or activate a little forklift like looking thing to push a crate out of the way.
Right.
Of course, Ace is like he just standing there, gets smushed, and I was like, I must have to switch to Ace, like at the last minute. But I guess it was just automatic, and for some reason, the most obvious thing
just at an inopportune moment.
Yeah, but that's fun.
So the deaths in general have always been a big thing for the Space Quest games, good or bad. We wanted to keep with that and have as many deaths in the game as possible, but we didn't want to punish the player by having to save early, save often, that kind of a thing. And so we resurrect Ace. He dies, but it's just for laughs. And hopefully people enjoy looking for those. And it's like, how many different ways can a space plumber die in an adventure game? That's part of the fun. Hopefully,
There's no way to really
in our minds, anyway.
there's no way to get this game in a no-win situation. So you get all the way to the end and you're like, oh no, I should have picked up the thing or not kissed the alien or
Lord, I hope not intentionally.
that'd be fun to just leave one in. But he probably
That would be evil.
what's wrong with evil?
So I'm wondering, Mark, with all your experience of designing puzzles and so forth, have you ever had the chance to do an escape room? Because those kind of feel like you're in the middle of like an adventure game where you're in real life, where you're trying to solve these things and advance from one room to another.
Well, I kid you not. That was actually a business idea that I researched back when I was working at Pipeworks. So this is a college town. I knew there was one escape room thing, but it's like, how do we do this and do it right?
Right.
And really well themed, and have it be something that people want to come back to, and in groups. And no, I seriously contemplated opening up an escape room business.
But not anymore.
I
would go.
I couldn't, after thinking about it and doing the math, I couldn't convince myself that it could be a long-term profitable business.
Yeah, I don't know if those things are cash cows or not.
Are they still? Yeah, I don't know. Are they still doing those escape rooms?
I went to one in Florida, my wife and I, and it's some chain of escape rooms. I forget what it's called, but a lot of it was with licensees. So they had a Scooby-Doo themed escape room. We did the Star Trek themed escape room, where they had the actors record some lines of dialogue from, I think, the Star Trek Discovery series. What was frustrating is you just heard them speak. I wanted to see them in their costumes on video on the bridge, saying at the end, "Job well done," and just to hear their voice congratulating you felt a little bit cheap. But so, I mean, I think you see them now and then. I've done it before at some software companies I've worked at for a corporate event. They might take you out to an escape room or one of the smaller teams or something. But yeah, I've even seen them on cruise ships, but I have no idea if they're as popular as they used to be, or if they make money, more to your point.
Right. I think they could if they're done right. Just incredible theming and Disneyland quality
Right.
type
Yeah.
theming, Indiana Jones or sci-fi, or I can imagine that being just totally awesome. I think my problem was I reached a point of analysis paralysis and said, because I was thinking everything through. It's like, okay, how do you reset these, and how many employees would you have to maintain it, and is it would it be a profitable business model, I guess?
I think it's really funny in SpaceVenture, the escape pod sequence. Maybe you could base it around that idea. Well, this is your escape pod.
It is. The possibilities are
like all
endless
those
as far as
instructions are like,
themes.
oh no, just launch the pod. That would be a good escape room.
Yeah, the big thing for me, what excited me was just the theming aspect of it, is construction and building it, something that was just like, wow, not done half-assed at all.
Would it be like a space thing you're thinking, or more of a
both? I think to have a successful business like that, I mean, I was scouting locations, like where could we build this, looking for empty Walmart or Kmart's or something. It's like, this would make a perfect center. You could build these things. You could build one theme over here and one theme over here and have like 4 different themes. And you could swap them out over time. It's like, as one theme phases out, you bring in something else.
All these malls that have been shuttered.
Fresh.
All these shopping malls that have been shuttered. I mean, that'd be like an ideal place to put something like that.
Maybe. I don't know. I avoid malls like plague. So
Across the river in Vancouver, Washington, they used to have one in a mall, but to stay in business, they had to have the front of it be a comic book shop. Because I don't think they were making enough of it. Like it was mostly a comic book store, and then in the back
Right.
is where the escape room stuff was. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could do it with the bar with an escape room. I don't know. Like maybe you'd have to pair it with something. I'm not sure. It's just how do you get people to go more than once? And I guess having the multiple things to pick
Well,
from, like you said.
you get an alcohol license. That's how you do it.
Yeah, I think so. Right. Yeah, people. That's an easy way to get people to show up and.
Have a beer.
What is it? Corellian L, I think.
I mean, yeah, we've got like one that I can think of, but family fun center kind of a place. It's got indoor mini golf, and laser tag, and it's done amazingly well. I'm surprised it's still in business. I'm surprised it survived COVID, actually. It's still going strong.
That's great.
You need to get out of the house sometimes, If you're going to get out, and it's a big risk. You might as well do something super fun. Well,
I appreciate all the SpaceVenture questions, but I'm sure you guys have more Space Quest's interest or Sierra stuff, or
well,
I'm not turning down SpaceVenture questions, but
I got a couple of questions I can
appreciate the coverage.
Yeah, I think Matt, you can go on with the questions. I have to get back to work, but I was happy to be on this episode where I could. It was great to meet you, Mark, and I'll have to take a look to see if any cool escape rooms pop up in Eugene next time I'm in the area.
Hey, all right.
Okay.
Good to meet you, Matt.
Yep. See you later.
Take care.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, Mark. Yeah, just a few last questions.
Sure.
I want to squeeze these in because I always ask my viewers if anybody has questions they want to ask. So I thought these are pretty good. So these are from Lobsterminator. He says, are there any dream settings or genres that you've wanted to explore but haven't gotten to?
Yeah, but let's see. I've wanted to do an adventure game that doesn't have graphics. It's all audio.
Audio.
You could play the game blindfolded. And that really has intrigued me for a number of years. It's like,
say more
in
about
other words,
how would it work?
Everything's in the mind's eye, but it'd have to be just phenomenal audio quality, 3D. And I've been toying around. I've had that rolling around in my head for a number of years now, and I thought this could be cool, and I think I could do it in Unity. And so, I've played around with a couple of test environments, test scenes to see how that would work, but no barriers. Just you are able to navigate this world of sound. And that intrigued me. I don't know if there's a market for something like that. People,
you mean like there would be no speech either, just pure sound?
Oh, there'd be audio. There'd be speech.
Okay, so there would be speech.
And with technology now, you could even do voice recognition. But
yeah, this is what I'm thinking. I thought that's where you were going to go with this because you got all the so many people are into podcasts and things. It seems like you got a market for people that just want to listen to something.
Right.
Maybe they can talk back to it now, though, with all the voice recognition stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to.
Got something there.
But and I'm dabbling with VR. I'm playing around with that. Got a few things. I got a few irons in the fire.
The VR. Yeah, I keep wanting to get into that. I don't know. Every time I start to get into it, people are like, "Oh no, it's at the tail end." And then the next week, it's like, "Oh, we got this. You got to get this." I don't know. Does it have a killer app? That's the question that always comes up for me with VR. I can't think of like the one game that
Oh, there's a couple. The new Batman game looks amazing. I got to play that. But I played a few adventure games that Red Matter is pretty amazing. I'm loving that. And it's a straight up adventure game, puzzle based adventure game.
What's it called?
Red Matter.
Oh, yeah, that looks.
And
You know, I
there's a
heard
new,
that
I
they're
think there's a
doing.
new Half-Life game out that's
Oh, this looks way better.
VR based.
Yeah, I can see already. They've definitely improved since last time I was looking at one of these things. Yeah, I heard that they were doing the Mystery House game that we were talking about. Like, there's a crew that's working on bringing that to VR.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you haven't heard about that?
No, no. I know that Colossal Cave was on VR. I haven't had a chance to play it in VR yet. But
Yeah, Mystery House to be reopened this year in 3D for PC and
well,
VR.
who'd be doing that if not Sierra?
Uh,
Well,
let's see.
whoever owns that now, Microsoft.
Yeah, here's I think this is the right. Yeah, Ken and Roberta Williams to be reimagined by Colossal Cave remake co-producer. So I guess it's somebody they were working with on
Oh,
the.
okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember this Guillotine, Guillotine Games. Yeah, so maybe you should. No, I'd probably get the VR for that. It just sounds like such a cool concept to me. But okay,
Um,
but you like the Batman and the red.
yeah, I haven't had a chance to play it. I've just seen bits and pieces of it, and it looks pretty amazing. The thing with VR is I love it and I hate it because I get motion sickness really bad. And so if the game's not done right, it can ruin your day.
Well, that's why I've always been more intrigued by the AR.
Hmm.
Like the idea of not being completely enclosed in something, but I could
Right.
just see it out in front of me. Uh, I keep thinking there's all sorts of killer apps for that. What I imagine is you would be this is not really a game part. Maybe you could make a game out of it, I suppose. But let's say I wanted to fix some part of my car. If I had the glasses on and it could have a camera and it would see what I was doing, it could show me like, okay, ding, unscrew that, ding, unscrew that, put the part
Right.
on. I mean, it sounds like that would work to me, unless I'm missing something.
No, there's no reason why that shouldn't work. Yeah, you can perform heart surgery on on your friend.
Well,
Yeah, you
sure.
don't need to go to the doctor. Here, I'll fix you up.
Well, that's why I keep hearing about like it takes so many years to train for certain jobs. I wonder if you could cut that down if you had the AR that could at least show you how to do most of it.
Well, isn't that the miracle of YouTube? I mean, YouTube's done that. It's like everything I needed to know in life, I learned on YouTube.
Yeah, I forget what game it was. I've seen so many of these things, but one of your games you had the phrase Wikipedic knowledge.
Yeah.
That's funny. I wonder is there like a YouTubic knowledge? There's got to be endless jokes about people that have. I'm pretty sure there's even like a technical term for people that watch a lot of YouTube videos and assume that they know how to do something. But the studies that they've done show that they don't actually know crap. They're actually worse than the people that never watched a video.
Yeah, you got to be careful about, yeah. You never know if the person doing the video really knows what they're talking about, or
Let's see
for
if we-
sure.
I was going to ask just some quick questions about some of the other stuff. We got a game called Earth Siege and Manhunter that I know you had some involvement with, right? You want to talk about?
Wasn't really involved with Manhunter because that
Oh,
that that goes way back. I remember that being in development about the time I was working on one of the other Space Quest games or Police Quest or something. Um, I'm sorry, the
Earth
premise.
Siege. And I
Oh,
think
Earth Siege, yeah.
there's like a couple of those, right? And then it became.
Right. Well, I mean, that was kind of what
Let's see if I can get a picture of that one.
when I left Sierra in '99 or '91, came to Dynamics. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I came up here was I was amazed at this was shortly after got acquired by Sierra.
Mhm.
I loved the stuff they were doing and their adventure game engine. It was just very cinematic kind of stuff. I thought, man, it would be awesome to do games on their system, with their authoring system. Forgot where I was going with that, other than to say that that's what led me to Dynamics. And then as soon as I got there, they informed me I was going to do Space Quest, and it was going to be with SCI, Sierra's engine. And we were basically going to train a team at Dynamics how to use SCI, because that was going to be the adventure game engine. So that kind of put an end to that idea, or dream of using Dynamics' stuff, which was really cool.
Yeah, Jeff Tunnell. You knew him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had him on the show. And I want to say they had like a flight simulator game that was
Oh yeah, that
Red Baron, I think.
yeah. I played the crap out of Red Baron and Aces and several of their games. When we first acquired them, it's like, oh, all these games are awesome. Heart of China and or what is it? The Dragon game that's kind of a Blade Runner kind of a takeoff. Those were fun games and well done.
I got games. Wow.
But yeah, we spent I spent way too much time playing Red Baron and A10 Tank Killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love those games. I was really into the flight sims at the time.
Oh, Rise of the Dragon.
Rise of the Dragon. Thank you. I forgot where I was going with all that. Oh, so that leading up to Earthseed. So after I finished doing Space Quest 5, Dynamics did the original Mech Warrior game for the PC. They were the developer anyway. And the president of the company came to me after we had finished up Space Quest, wondering what I wanted to work on next. And he said, we're thinking about we have the people here that worked on the Mech Warrior game. We'd like to do another giant robot fighting game of some kind, but it can't be Mech Warrior, obviously. We don't have a license. So see what you can come up with on that. And so, yeah, we came up with a whole Metal Tech Earth Siege concept, and the giant robots. And that's kind of how that came to be. I mean, we were in development a little over a year on that, I think. Concurrently to that, we developed another Metal Tech game called Battle Drum, which was multiplayer over LAN. You could fight fight in an arena with giant robots. Get your friends over the LAN.
We used to play. I think it was Mech Warrior that we played.
Yeah, we did. Then we did a sequel to Earth Siege 2. Those were a lot of fun. I really enjoyed those. It was just something different. It was a nice break from doing the Space Quests.
Oh, 1996. Okay. Yeah, I remember seeing this one. It's a pretty far cry from Space Quest, huh? I mean, I guess it's in space.
It's in space and it's a sci-fi thing, and I was into that. That was a lot of fun.
You probably were tempted to put a little humor in there if you could. It's good to, Rob Halford I've had on the show a few times, or Neil Halford. Rob.
Neil.
I wish I had Rob Halford. Neil Halford was on talking about Crondor, a lot of his other projects. You get to work with him?
Not directly, but he was in the building and down the hall, and we hung out. We'd go have beers together after work, and yeah, big happy family there.
Okay, well, I think that's about all I think you might have already answered this question actually, but the fact that I guess you'd gone to Activision to try to get the license, and then that didn't work out, so it became SpaceVenture. So the question was, would there have been anything? I mean, obviously there'd be some differences, right? But was it substantially different because of that change, or was it pretty much the game that we would, as it turned out anyway? I asked that terribly. I guess what I'm trying to ask is, what difference would it have really made if you had gotten the license?
That's a good question. I hadn't thought about that. How things have been different. Other than Roger Wilco and his background, he's got a history that the gamers and fans are aware of, and so we'd have to work that in as a continuation of that story or stories. So it would have been different in that respect. And obviously, we would have tried to have new exciting adventures for Roger. But the fact that he's a janitor and not a plumber, that would probably have colored the types of puzzles and things we would have had in the game. But as far as the feel of the game and the humor and everything, it would have been exactly the same.
That's what I would have imagined.
We definitely tried to give it the same spirit and humor and everything. We even tried to get Gary Owens. I don't know if you heard that story, but we had Gary Owens signed to do the game, and he even did a little promo for us back early on. We were during our Kickstarter, but then of course he passed away, unfortunately, and we found a sound alike, and
Wow, that guy's good because he fooled me.
he's really good. Yeah, very talented guy, and he fit the bill. But no one's going to replace Gary Owens.
Oh, no way. Yeah, that must have been a blow.
Yeah, that really was. It's like, oh, that guy, he injected so much, not only humor, but just I don't know what the word is, but he just perfectly captured the spirit of the game. His straight face delivery and he got the humor. I remember when I was recording him when we did the first series of recordings for Space Quest 4, I had to go down there and meet Gary, and it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. It was very intimidating being down there in a Hollywood recording studio, meeting Gary Owens.
Wow.
But dude, what a professional. And he was reading the stuff that Scott wrote most of the dialogue in that game. And he was just busting up as you were reading lines. He'd have to stop and he was laughing. It's like, okay, let's do another take. So he got the humor, which was that was fun.
Yeah, so he was on that Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In show, I guess. Yeah, the announcer on that.
Yeah.
No stranger to humor. Well, that worked out okay. I think that's about all I had. I was curious if you'd ever seen a movie called Dark Star.
I know of it. I've never seen it. I've never seen Dark Star. And I know that predates who did that movie? Who did the effects on it? Do you recall?
John Carpenter, I think, did a lot
Was
of
it
it.
Carpenter?
I don't know if he had like a couple of people with him, including one of the folks that did the co-wrote the Alien script. I forget his name. But I just bring it up because I watched it the other day for the first time. It's like this old, it's like from the early 80s, I think, or late 70s, but it's kind of the same
Mid 70s, actually.
It's like this comedy of these guys, just regular guys in a spaceship, and they're, kind of lonely.
Right.
Not the crazy stuff. But they always allege, like, oh, this inspired this and this and this. But you haven't seen it, so obviously couldn't have influence.
I guess I'm going to have to see it now.
You might enjoy it more than some people, perhaps, especially
after the fact. Was it Planetfall? I think that was the game.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
I never played Planetfall. I was aware of it, and we'd been accused of ripping them off at one point, and it's like, I never even played that game. But
yeah, Steve Moretsky, I think, was he
right?
They thought you ripped them off. I thought that was in 1980.
I remember there being some accusations to that effect, but I think it's because, well, is the guy a janitor? The meat? Because I remember seeing the box and the guy had a mop. Isn't the guy running down the
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a
corridor with a mop?
Yeah, I got me. Then there's one station fall.
Yep, there we go.
So what is his job? So you never even played this.
No.
So he's an ensign, superior ensign for assigns a player to mop decks. So I guess you're mopping.
Yep.
I wonder if Moretsky's ever played your games.
I don't know.
Yeah, I always think of this, and then of course Red Dwarf. I'm sure you've seen Red Dwarf.
Oh,
No,
it's a movie?
no, it's a show.
A show. Okay.
You've never seen Red Dwarf?
Mm.
Oh my God.
Is it good?
Yeah. I think we could be all over that show.
Where do you have to go to see that?
Just watch it on Amazon.
Oh, okay. I'll check it out.
I'd have to have some special thing, but well, I can't believe you haven't seen Red Dwarf.
Wow.
Look, when you watch it, send me an email. Tell me what you think about it. Dude,
Okay.
I'd love to know.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, I think you'd enjoy that.
Especially if it's any good.
Oh, so
Uh-huh.
good.
I'll tell you, I'm so out of touch. You know, I
That's
claim to be a
amazing.
sci-fi
Your
fan.
games are loaded with like
I've
everything.
never even watched an episode of Doctor Who, so
Uh,
yeah.
I like the Tom Baker years.
Yeah.
The ones from the 70s. I guess you probably more like Star Trek and Star Wars and Spaceballs.
You know, I never was a Star Trek
You tell me
fan.
you've never seen Spaceballs. I'm just gonna. I know you're just lying.
I've seen Spaceballs. That was
Yeah.
definitely fun.
Have to
You know,
see.
I never was a Star Trek fan. Never could get into it.
Neither one or none of the shows.
None of the TV shows. You know, it was on in the background, and I wasn't interested as a kid. Weird, because I loved science.
You're blowing people's minds. Why did there must have been some science fiction you liked?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I was into everything else. I don't know if technically if it qualifies as science fiction, but you know, back in the day when you were a kid growing up, you got 3 channels, and so there's Saturday cartoons and Saturday sci-fi matinee, and that was really my only exposure to that stuff, and probably watched way more of it than I should have.
Like Forbidden Planet and
Oh yeah, all those old
Lost in
sci-fi
Space.
movies.
I think I saw you.
Oh, I loved Lost in Space. Yeah.
Oh, the pain.
You caught that, right?
The robot. I always love that too.
Did you catch the tribute to Dr. Smith in SpaceVenture?
I don't know if I've gotten to that part yet.
Oh, okay.
I just got to done with the fixing the router. So I got a little ways to go.
It was a cutscene. You probably skipped over it.
Wait, I missed it?
Yeah, it's probably the first. It's the first character you encounter in the game.
Oh, he's the Dr. Smith tribute. Oh, okay.
Rob Paulson did his voice. He does a perfect Dr. Smith voice.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, he just completely nailed it.
I don't know how that one got past me.
Now you got to go back and play it again.
I got to go back and play it again. Jeez. Yeah, I thought I was doing good with spotting all the references, but well, I mean that's a good thing. You know, it's one of the reasons games have been around. People still talk about them, right? Because you don't catch everything the first time you play. I mean, you got it. That's the replay value, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
Go back in and make sure you look at everything.
Well, yeah, sci-fi stuff. Remember Space 1999? And,
Oh yeah.
Thunderbirds. I don't know if that technically qualifies as sci-fi, but
it's like with the puppets, right?
Yeah.
That one.
Grew up watching that stuff. It's probably you're too
Saw
too
the
young
old
for that.
Buck Rogers and Battlestar.
Pardon?
You ever watch Buck Rogers or Battlestar Galactica? And No,
Yeah, those didn't do it for me.
we'll see what you think
Those are
about.
all post Star Wars, which was just they were just wannabes.
Star Wars. Oh, there's a clone of Star Wars from Italy called
Yeah,
Star Crash. Did you ever see it?
haven't heard of that.
Oh, it's kind of blatant. I mean, they even have like lightsabers and stuff in there, but it's like so bad, it's almost worth watching. It's like one of those so bad it's good movies
Right?
for me. I think it's called Star Crash, you know.
Huh?
It's right around the same time. I'm not recommending it as a good movie.
Right?
But anyway, this has been a fun chat, Mark. Thank you.
Sure.
Now, if somebody wants to follow you, is there like a way? Where do you
I'm
advertise?
awful. I'm not on social media. I gotta.
You have a newsletter? Like, I mean, what do we?
We
How do
just
we
have our
keep tabs?
website, which we need to get better about keeping updated and posting on. But guys from Andromeda.com.
Guys from Andromeda.
And now that we're starting to pick up
Okay, let's look.
promoting SpaceVenture more. I think we're going to be a little better about maintaining that website and keep posting on there.
Wrong one. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, I bet that's a big thing moving from like when you had Sierra and all their marketing might behind you, like their catalogs and everything, and when you have to promote yourself. I mean, I find that by far the most challenging thing.
Yeah, I mean, you put all that work into a game, it doesn't mean anything if people don't know about it or you can't tell the world.
There must be like a forums here or something.
Pardon?
Well, it's just like there must be like a forum or something that we can. Oh, I saw a contact button. Okay, so this is where we go for news and things.
Yeah, I'm not sure how up to date that is, but definitely on our to-do list to update that.
Always like there's something from April 20th. That's a good sign. Okay, Mark. Well, yeah, thank you so much for doing this again. I hope to keep in touch.
Thanks, Matt. It was a pleasure meeting
really
you.
want to know what you think about Red Dwarf. I feel like
Okay.
I've done something special here, but
Oh, I'll check it out. You might have exposed me to a whole new world or worlds.
yeah, it's a British thing, so you know
Yeah.
you got to listen. You have to have an ear for that. But man, it is hilarious. I think you're gonna love it. And then
Oh, I'll
again, you
check
might
it.
hate it. I don't. You might be one of those people that if somebody says you're definitely gonna like it, you just kind of automatically hate it. Is that the kind of guy you are, or do you take a
Uh,
recommendation?
I no, I'll check it out. If somebody
Okay.
thinks I'd be interested in it, I'd definitely give it a look.
Okay.
Give it 15 minutes and see if it piques my
Ah,
interest.
I wish I could be there when you watched it.
I guess I could record it.
Yeah, there you go. Hell, do like a what do they call those videos where you like reaction videos? Yeah. Mark plays or
That's
Mark
a thing, huh? I
watches
can't
Red
believe that.
Dwarf. Yeah, so you have like the TV show there, and you're like they show your reaction. Yeah, exactly. You know, as you're watching it, and that could be a good way to get some publicity too, because they're apparently the most popular thing.
That's an idea.
Hmm.
Thanks.
There you go. Okay, well, I'll let you get on with your day.
All right. You too, sir. Pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, likewise.
Stay in touch, Matt.
I think you get the point. That's all for this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you didn't, I don't know what to tell you. It's not going to get much better than having Mark Crowe on the program. Epic guest, epic game series. Really happy to have him on. As always, I want to thank you for making it possible. Yes, you. Thank you very, 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 very. A little extra, very much. A little extra slice of gratitude for you of keeping Matt Chat on the air. Yes, Matt Bradley Shergi, he's been working super hard to make these, find these guests, bring them on, line it all up, and even ride shotgun on some of these episodes. So if you'd like to support Matt and I in our effort to keep this channel going, take a few minutes to go to that lovely little link in the show notes to the Patreon site, or as we call it correctly, the Ratreon channel, and become a Ratron so you can enjoy the show even more by being part of the team. You're going to love the Discord channel. What are you waiting for? Get there now! Clickety clickety. You can always come back here. You can resume the show. It's YouTube. We're not dealing with live TV anymore, folks. So there you go. Okay, let's see. What about that news from the Matt Cave? Well, Miko can always be counted on for a couple good news items. He's working hard too. Maybe we should cut him in. It could add the official Matt Chat reporter little line there. What do you think about that, Miko? And we'll see if he's watching. Okay, after 2 years in early access, Tainted Grail. I have to think about that title. Not sure I want the word taint in my title. Okay, Tainted Grail. All right, The Fall of Avalon officially launches on May 23rd on PC, PlayStation 5, and the Xbox Series X. S. Is that a thing? This first-person open-world RPG reimagines Arthurian legend. You know, it seems like I remember hearing about this. Over 200 side quests, 250 voice-acted NPCs, and 70-plus dungeons. Whoa. Players can explore the cursed lands of Avalon, cursing as they go, as a stealthy archer, berserker, mage, or a mad alchemist in a world shaped by 600 years of Camelot's legacy. Free demos now available, or you can spend $44.99 to pick up the full early access copy. It looks pretty interesting. I still don't know about that title. There's probably going to be some memes about that if this thing gets any traction, so stay tuned for that. Next up, Crowe's Diaries RPG, an upcoming isometric turn-based indie CRPG from developer Craftology, drawing inspiration from classics like Fallout. It seems like there's been a bunch of these lately. This one's set in a fictional 1990s Eastern European country, teetering on the edge of civil war. The game offers non-linear narrative where players' choices significantly impact the story. They can opt for diplomacy or combat to achieve their goals, with multiple endings based on their decisions. No release date yet, currently available to wishlist. Now, I went to the website of this game to learn a little bit more, and apparently this was created for MS-DOS and was ported to Windows. So I don't know if that means it was created way back in the day and recently is getting this updated, or maybe it's just somebody that just really wanted to develop for DOS. had the thought at some point, you know, maybe we should port this to Windows. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but you can check that out. Crowe's Diaries. That's a pretty cool title there. And then lastly, actually second to lastly, penultimately, always wanted a chance to use that word. I think I just found it. Penultimately, yeah, punny. Writes in about Moon Studios, the creator of the Ori series, are facing turmoil. So this story has gone through a couple different iterations, some back and forth. I'm not quite sure. I'll just read you what I got here, and then you might have to double check on this to see if there's been even more revelations, and since I released the video. But they had this rocky early access launch of their new action RPG, No Rest for the Wicked. Came out, good reception, everything seemed great. Then they did this update and everything went to hell. Triggered a bunch of review bombs, concerns about sales. The CEO, Thomas Mahler, said the studio might have to shut down on account of this. Then he said, no, we're going to keep open. Everything's fine. But financial uncertainty lingers. So, a lot of pressure navigating live service models, evolving player expectations. And so I tried to figure out what was the nature of the controversy, and I guess it was just a bunch of things. They really changed the nature of the gameplay, I guess is the main assertion. Is a little bit too much. Kind of reminds me of, you remember that Star Wars Galaxies? That update they did at that time and created all the fury. You know, it really makes you wonder sometimes. so it's like an art to updating. You kind of want to make them gradual, I suppose, or I don't know enough of the details to know what's happened here, but maybe you do. You can sound off in the comments if you've been following this Ori series, No Rest for the Wicked. I'd like to hear your take on it. All right, and then speaking of Matt Bradley Shergi, he's got a book out, brand new. Man, this guy's been busy. New book. He's putting me to shame. He's got 100 more followers than me on Twitter, too. Matt. Maybe I shouldn't. You know, I'm not even going to plug his new book. I'm just that jealous of. No way. He's got a new book out about Eddie Murphy. It's called The Films of Eddie Murphy, a witty, entertaining ode to Eddie Murphy. The Films of Eddie Murphy. How many times can we say Eddie Murphy in this? Takes a look at America's favorite comedian with plenty of pep panache along the way. That's on Amazon for $28 in paperback or $39 for the hardcover. You know, as I was thinking about this, I was wondering, like, what's my favorite? He's got so many great movies. I'd probably have to go with the classic Beverly Hills Cop, I think. I mean, I still have to watch that every now and then. It's on my perennial list. Just the theme song alone is worth queuing up the video, you know? But anyway, congratulations to Matt. And I hope I beat you on the Twitter thing very, very soon. Wouldn't it be funny if I retweeted his book and that's what put me a little bit over his Twitter account? Okay, let's wrap it up with a quote. And I was looking for quotes about Space Quest, and of course there's one that came to mind, and I tweaked it slightly. Hope you don't mind. It goes something like this. Thanks for watching Matt Chat. As usual, you've been a real pantload. See you guys next week.
If only I'd hired a smarter lawyer instead of the brain-dead, pompous, stupid-haired git I ended up with. You defended yourself?